Hi guys, it's Alex and welcome back to my channel. I planned on filming this yesterday, but it didn't happen. Okay, someone had suggested that I should do my labor and delivery story. My daughter is almost 9 months old. Yep, almost 9 months old in 2 weeks. So I don't know the exact times for everything because in the moment I was not writing that down. I did not feel good. I was 17 when I found out I was pregnant, but it was probably like 2 or 3 days before I turned 18. So the whole time I was pregnant, I was pretty much 18. And then I had her right before my 19th birthday. Here's my labor and delivery story. At the end of my pregnancy, around 37 weeks, I was having symptoms of preeclampsia, and they weren't 100% sure. So what they had me do is I had to come back in to have an appointment when I was 38 weeks pregnant, and my regular doctor wasn't there, so I had to go see a doctor I've never seen before. So when I went in, it was November 18th, and pretty much when I went in, they checked my blood pressure, and he was like, okay, well, let's give it a couple minutes and we'll recheck it again because it was pretty high. And like I said, I don't even know what it was because I didn't write any of that down, but it was like extremely high. So they waited so that they wanted to make sure that it wasn't my nerves or from me walking. They waited like 5-10 minutes and then they rechecked my blood pressure and it was still high. So not my doctor, but the doctor said that I pretty much had two options at that point. Either one, they were gonna send me home with a gallon jug to pee in so that they could check it in 2 to 3 days or something like that, or they were gonna send me to labor and delivery. And they waited a couple minutes and the guy was like, well, we'll probably end up just sending you home with the pee jug and then you'll be back in a couple days. I was like, okay. And he walked out of the room for a couple minutes and me and Jake were just talking and I was stressed. And probably 10 minutes goes by and the doctor comes back in and he's like, so I think we're gonna send you to labor and delivery. And I was like, are you serious? And I just started crying. And then Jake walked out of the room, just walked out. He said, I'll be back. And he just walked out. And I was like, okay. And then I was just bawling at that point. And I was just talking to the doctor. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have this baby. It's like, oh my God, I'm not ready. And then a couple minutes later, we're like, okay, where'd Jake go? So me and this doctor ended up walking out of the room and looking for Jake, and we found him, and he's like, what, do you think I left? I was like, yeah. And he's like, no, I just had to pee. You know how hard it is to find a place to pee when you're in a building full of pregnant women? I was like, oh my gosh, that was like the worst time that you could have picked to go to the bathroom and not say anything because you scared the living crap out of me. So pretty much after my appointment, I ended up going home. I did not want to go straight to labor and delivery. I was super nervous, but don't get me wrong, I didn't wait like a whole day or anything. I went home and I wanted to get my bags packed and I wanted to be able to eat before I went to the hospital since I knew I wasn't going to be able to eat for a while and I hadn't eaten at all that day yet. So it would have been miserable if I would have went straight to labor and delivery. So we stopped at Wendy's on our way back to the hospital. Around 1 o'clock, we checked into labor and delivery. They got me in pretty much right away. And they hooked me up to an IV. I pretty much sat in there waiting for new nurses to come in and introduce themselves for about an hour, and then around 2 to 3 o'clock on the 18th I was induced. They used the pill that they put up your vagina. I don't know what that's called, but I want to say after about an hour it finally kicked in. I ended up having to go to the bathroom, and so I went to the bathroom, and TMI, but I went pee, and then after I was done peeing there was still liquid coming out. So I was like, nurse, I think my water is leaking. Pretty sure that means that the pill's working. It broke my water, and you know. And they were gonna try to break my water with the balloon thing, but I didn't want them to do that, so they waited a little bit. Good thing I did that, because I didn't even know my water broke. Like, it didn't actually like break, but I just started leaking. So after that, I started having contractions around 3 o'clock. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I didn't write anything down. So I started having contractions from around 3 o'clock until 12, I want to say. And at 11, I ended up getting an epidural. Since I was having contractions every minute and they were so strong, I was in so much pain. I couldn't imagine it getting any worse from there. It ended up only working on half of my body. Like, I could still, like, it was still numb on my left side, but my right side, I could not feel a thing. Like, you could touch my leg and I would not be able to feel it. Around 12 o'clock, I think, is when I finally reached, I think I reached 10 centimeters dilated. They hadn't checked me for a while, so they didn't actually realize that I was 10 centimeters yet, but I felt this sudden pressure, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is that? Because there's nothing like I've ever felt. Like, my whole pregnancy, Payton was laying really low in my belly, so I was having pressure there, but this was so weird. The pressure, I can't even describe it. It was just the weirdest feeling. And I was like, it kind of felt like you had to poop, but like the worst poop you've ever taken. So like, I'm having this sudden pressure, and I'm like, okay, I think that the baby's coming right now. They got the nurse, and I was like, okay, I'm having this baby right now. And they're like, well, hold on. I was like, no, like, I need to push right now. Like, this, I cannot not push. Like, I need to push. And they're like, okay. Just me and Jake. And they're like, okay, you're gonna have to hold her leg. And he's like, okay. And he's there. He didn't want to even watch. Before all this, he did not want to watch, which I understand. But it was literally one nurse and Jake. So he had to help me, because I could not feel my legs, and there was no way I was gonna be able to, no. So he had to help, and I was pushing for about almost 2 hours. It was about an hour and a half, I think, from about 12 until 1:30, and it felt like it felt so long, but at the same time, it felt so short. Like, I don't know how to explain it, because at that point, I didn't even know what time it was, because I was in so much pain from around 3 to 12 that I didn't look at my phone. I did not talk to anybody. It was terrible. At 1:34 in the morning on November 19th is when I had Payton. She was 7 pounds 4 ounces and 19¼ inches long, and they asked me, they're like, do you want us to put her on your chest? I was like, yes, like, I want my baby. Just give her to me. And I wasn't, before all this, I was not ready. Like when I found out I was pregnant, I was so scared. And as soon as they laid her on me, I was just, you can't explain it, the love that you have for kid. Like, I love her to death. Maybe a little butt sometimes, but I couldn't imagine not having her. So here's my baby.